Michael Vincent, and I'm starting a YouTube channel dedicated to education and gaming. The name I came up for was the AGSEduGamer. AGS is for my school, Aspen Grove School, located in Nanaimo, British Columbia on Vancouver Island. So the purpose of this YouTube channel is to look at games, but to look at games from an educational perspective. There's a lot of videos on YouTube where people are doing reviews, people are doing unboxing videos, and talking about the game just in terms of its fun factor. But I was hoping to look at games and see, well, how can a teacher use this in a classroom? So I came up with this idea, and I just wanted to start with a little introduction video to explain sort of the purpose before I just jump in and start doing reviews. So I kind of have three audiences in mind that I'm hoping to target, the first of which is teachers. So any teacher who's interested in maybe using games in their classroom, either to supplement the units that they're already doing, or just to add some flavor to the topics they're teaching at that time. So if you're a teacher, mostly for grades 6 and up, however, my wife is a kindergarten teacher, and I'm trying to convince her to maybe do a few reviews of games for younger audiences. But I'm primarily looking at games that will appeal more to older students. I teach middle and high school, grade 8 to 12, and I'm a history teacher and a psychology teacher. So a lot of the reviews I look at first will certainly have a bias towards history games. However, I do have a few games for psychology, but as time goes on and I get through some of the games I'm hoping to review at first, I'd like to move on and look at games that could be used in other subjects like science or math or English. The second audience I'm hoping to target with this video is parents. So if you're a parent and you have a young person who's perhaps starting to show an interest in history or maybe a unit they're doing at school, a board game can be a really good way to supplement or get them more interested in the units that they're doing at school. So if they are starting to show some interest in World War II, then there's some really great board games that might help support the content and the concepts of what they're doing at school. And also, if you find that your son or daughter is spending a little bit too much time on their iPhone texting or upstairs on their Xbox playing Call of Duty, then board games are something that can be educational but also very fun. It still scratches that same itch that a lot of the strategic video games will. And it's also more social, so if you're looking to spend time with them or want them to have some friends over and do something as a group, then board games can be a really good use of that. And finally, the group I'm looking to target is, of course, young gamers or just students who think these games are interesting. Now, you might be scared thinking I'm a history teacher and looking at the games I might suggest, and I'm really not looking at games that are basically trivia questions disguised as a game. I'm looking for games that take historical content and historical concepts, I shouldn't just say historical, but any educational concept, and really integrates it into the mechanics of the game. So a game where you roll a dice, move around the board, and answer some trivia questions aren't really the types of games I'm looking at. I'm looking at games that on their own, despite having any sort of educational purpose, would be really fun games. So if you're a young person and you watch this video and you see a game that you like, you could go up to your teacher, you could go up to your mom and say, hey, guess what? This dude on the internet told me about this game, which is the equivalent of doing homework. In some cases, you could probably get away with that. So whether you're a teacher hoping to add some flavor to your lessons, whether you're a parent looking for a game that also would reinforce some concepts from school, or if you are a young person who's just looking for some good games, maybe you don't even care about the educational value, but maybe you like your history class, you find the Roman Empire to be interesting or the Second World War to be interesting, and are there any games related to that, then hopefully I can give you some suggestions. I would like to point out that I'm not an expert, I'm not claiming to be an expert. All I am is a teacher. I've been teaching for 6 years, and I really like games. I like card games, I like video games, I like board games, and so that's why I'm creating this. I'm not a PhD, I do not have a master's in education and gaming, nor do I claim to be an expert on either games or being a teacher, but I just have a passion for both teaching and playing games, and so I think this is a fun way to combine two interests. So I'm looking mostly at board and card games to start, however I would like to branch out to video games later. The problem with video games, they're a little more problematic to bring into the classroom. You need to have a console. A lot of the games that have historical content can be quite violent and gory. I'm thinking of perhaps the Assassin's Creed series. But there are some really good video game series, and I find a lot of my students who come in with a strong background in history often are gamers who've played series like Civilization, Age of Empires, Assassin's Creed, and that's where they picked up a lot of their knowledge, so I would eventually like to get into that. However, I think board games are a really easy way and convenient way to spice up your units and get kids engaged with the content you're working with. So I'm going to start by doing some reviews. I have about 8 games that I'm looking to look at in the next month or so. I'll let you take a look at those shortly. So you can maybe take a look and see if you think those are games that would interest you, that we were showing at some point. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned. If you liked this video, you can subscribe. And feel free to pass it along to anyone else who might be interested, whether they be a parent or a teacher or a student that you know. And at the bottom of the screen here, I'm hoping to show my email and Twitter so you can pass this along if you're interested. So in a second, I'm going to show you some of the games we'll be looking at over the next month. But thanks very much. We're just a week away in Canada from going back to school, so I'm just gearing up for September. Have a good night. Thanks for watching.